Sean, you gotta do the intro, dumbass.
Oh, I didn't realize you were recording.
Go check out our TikTok with the link below.
Dun it, dun it, dun it, dun it, dun dun dun. Whoa, 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 whoa! Welcome to Sippin' for Sunday.
I know you're gonna boo me, but we're doing top 12 dynasty running backs. We did quarterbacks like a couple weeks ago, and now we're gonna be doing running backs.
Insert
let's-
Bobby Shmurda. Oh, he's coming out of jail in like 5 days.
I saw
5
that.
days. Damn.
He was supposed to come out 2020, but they screwed him over.
6'9" got out before him.
That's crazy.
Okay, stop it. All right, sidetrack. All right, Shawnick, I know you have a bad take. So who's your first running back?
Our first running back is
What?
my
don't
first
speak
running
for
back.
us.
Yeah,
Fine,
bro.
my
I got
bad.
my own list.
My bad. Christian McCaffrey. Is
That
that? I mean,
was
that-
some analysis right there.
That is
oh,
our
well, what do you want me to say? This
number
dude is
one.
this dude is incredible. Like he's the best running back in football, I would still say.
Here's my insane Christian McCaffrey stat. Alvin Kamara, Dalvin Cook, David Montgomery, and Derrick Henry. What do these four running backs have in common?
Wait, what?
Wait, name him again.
Alvin Kamara, Dalvin Cook, David Montgomery, and Derrick Henry.
Okay.
What do these four running backs have in common?
What?
They're the only running backs who finished with more 24.8 plus PPR point performances than Christian McCaffrey this year. McCaffrey played 3 games.
I mean, let me pull up the.
4 running backs. 4 running backs, and McCaffrey played 3 games.
Dude, what the hell?
I mean, in our league, he played. He put up
that's-
27.
It was a half, Shawnick. This is full PPR. That stat was full PPR.
No, but I'm just saying in our league, he put up 27, 22, 32 in the 3 games that he played. So like his fantasy points per game is still incredible. And that's kind of what you want to look at
Yeah.
here. Like
He also has amazing commercials.
That's what I was gonna say. I think that Christian McCaffrey is pretty simple. Why he's the best player, number 1 overall. Lots of targets, super electric player. Number 2, I think we're gonna stick with it. If you were only playing football in commercials, you're gonna be killing it next year. I got Saquon at 2. Those Yoplait or whatever it is, that Greek yogurt.
oh, I've seen a couple of those ads.
Yeah,
What about the ones with Baker? Are those Old Spice?
Those are
No,
those are
No, progressive.
Oh, Progressive, yeah. Where he
Are you
has like
sure?
small legs.
You wish it was State Farm, Jack. That's for good quarterbacks.
The quarterbacks that lose
Oh
in the play.
dang!
Wow. Baker
Yeah,
lost
but
in the
Baker's
playoffs too.
Commercials are really funny though.
No,
Yeah,
it's
his
kind of
It's like when he drops the keys behind the gate and he has all the stuff and he can't carry it all.
But
Okay, let's talk about Saquon for a little because
Yeah.
there's a lot of injury concern around Saquon, and I heard Brian told me something
quads.
like a couple months ago. He said maybe Saquon is just too athletic for his own body.
Oh, dude, that was a
which
really
I
good
think
take.
is really interesting.
I forgot about that take.
Yeah.
It's
I
like,
don't-
remember D Rose? He's just way
Yeah.
too athletic for his body that stuff just breaks down. But you got to think about it, right? Like, look at Derrick Rose's quads and then look at Saquon's. And then you say to yourself, I'll take Saquon.
what does that have to do with anything? I would say that Saquon, like Keenan Allen, his injury history is a little bit misunderstood. A lot of his injuries are what I would call non-repeatable.
like freak
facts.
injuries.
So I think he's going to be okay once he's back to playing. It's not like a torn Achilles. He's going to be playing
It's
football.
a torn
and he's-
ACL, which is also pretty bad.
Yeah, but you can. I mean,
But-
we've seen players come back from a torn ACL.
Name more than 3.
Well, Adrian Peterson came back.
Yeah, Adrian Peterson.
Jamal Charles. He tore it
Um,
twice. After the first time, it was amazing. After the second time, it was done.
I mean,
Okay.
he was
so if
also
he-
old.
You got 2 people.
I mean,
Bruh,
Just knows
ba-
that by
it
two
happens all the
people. One
time.
of them is a Hall of
Tom
Fame running
Brady?
back. One of
Oh.
them's that's not a
That's-
running back.
okay, but we're just naming football players.
Bro,
'cause,
running
like,
backs
No,
tear
I'm
their
talking
ACL.
about
all the
running
time.
Dalvin towards ACL. There, we named
Right.
3. So
Okay, but you're still talking about a Hall of Fame running back, Jamal Charles.
I mean,
Those,
Saquon's gonna be a Hall
I'm
of
not
Saquon-
saying
Fame.
he's not gonna be good.
Saquon
I'm
is
just
the
saying,
best
like,
running back prospect we've ever seen that I've seen. I mean, from my recent memory.
Well,
Memory.
Since Adrian Peterson. I'd agree
Yeah,
with
since
you.
Adrian Peterson. Yeah.
I mean,
So
there's always a chance he regresses, but I think it's
I'm
worth it.
not saying he's not going to recover or be good. I'm just saying, he's a little bit injury prone.
but
maybe,
the injuries that he got aren't like they're not like hamstrings where they
The
keep
other
on lingering.
the other concern
It's a
is the Giants' offense in general.
Yeah.
The offensive line is not the best. I mean,
they
from the
drafted
one full game he played, he had 15 rushes, 6 yards.
They played the
He's-
Steelers though.
That was
Let me
against
tell you
I'm just
something. Let me tell you
saying,
something.
He also had a game in 2019, 13 rushes, 1 yard. So like his O line has always been bad, but that's not to say that his talent can't outshine that because he's proven that it
his big
has.
play percentage is like 5%. It's crazy high.
Yeah, I also have Saquon at 2. So I'm just telling you the concerns that people have around him.
So
Yeah, but
Jack.
he's-
Oh, keep going.
I have Dalvin here at 2. I think he's in a more explosive offense. He doesn't have a lot of wear and tear on him. I think he's gonna be great for the future.
Okay. Well, I can see that a lot of we kind of did into tiers.
Yeah.
So,
Well, Saquon's not even in my first tier.
yeah. So Saquon's R2, except for Jack, where he's not even.
why?
In
Why
his-
is he
Okay.
not in your first tier?
I told you, I just don't like. I don't like the offense he's in. I
Yeah,
don't like
but-
his that he's injury prone. I don't like. I don't think he's gonna be. I still have him top 5. I'm not saying he's not a top 5 running back. I just
If you
with
had him on
other
the same
people who are
tier,
up
I'd
there-
be okay with it. But it's because, first of all, Dalvin Cook has torn his ACL, so that just throws your argument out the window. And then the other thing is, Saquon's never had a good O line his entire career, and yet he
Yeah.
was like the #1 fantasy player. So it
for
doesn't
1
matter.
year.
Well,
His
the
rookie in the year after.
his sophomore year, he was RB1 with 10 games played.
Yeah, if you're the RB1,
Look, I'm not saying he's not going to be a top 5 running back. I'm agreeing with you. He's going to be top 5. I just
See,
don't
and
like
he's
the rate.
still how old is he? He's 24. He just turned 24 a couple days
Yeah.
ago.
No, yeah. He's young. He's got time. I'm not saying that he's going to be bad.
Okay.
I think we can move on to a running back that we all have in the first tier in Jonathan Taylor,
Love
Yes.
that man.
who 21-year-old stud. He started off the year very rough, but
Yeah.
he turned it on. My
Did turn
question
it
is
on.
is it a product of a good schedule plus a good O-line? But at the same time, he's going to have the O-line for the next.
So, O line is something that I don't think you have to worry about because the Colts O line is incredible. I do think the trade of Carson Wentz hurts him a little bit.
Really?
Am I
no, because think about the quarterback that
Yeah,
like
it
Philip
was
Rivers is the same
Rivers.
thing.
Phillip?
Like
But I feel like even then, it's like they might try to use Wentz in like a different role than Rivers, which could not use Taylor as much. You get what I'm saying?
I think they saw the second half of the season and they said, "Well, we
Good
drafted this
contender.
guy out of Wisconsin and said he fits our offense perfectly. Like literally the perfect running back for our offense. Wasn't doing very good, and then one day it just clicked. Everything just clicked, and he just rushed for like amazing yards. I don't even care about the matchups. So to say that a quarterback upgrade is bad for him is
Well,
kind of
see,
dumb.
that's the thing is I don't know if it's a quarterback
Over
upgrade.
Jacob Eason.
No. We're saying over
Phillip
Phillip. Over Phillip.
Rivers?
Well, Phillip wasn't good, but I mean, he still led that team to the playoffs.
The
I
only
think that was the defense. That was all the defense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but like
the only
but you
thing
gotta
would be
understand that Carson Wentz is playing in Doug Peterson's offense with no receivers.
And no O-line.
And no
You're
O-line.
I the
overreacting
no
on
O
that
line is,
season.
but he played scared, right? I guess with the Colts you're gonna have protection, but I'm just saying like I feel like Carson Wentz hasn't been good with running backs his entire career.
Jay Ajayi was pretty good.
I mean, he was better on the
Miles
Dolphins
Sanders
though.
is pretty good.
Miles Sanders had. I mean, Miles
I think
Sanders
that
took
has
a while
more to
break
do with
out,
the
though.
Eagles scheme, though,
Yeah.
because the Eagles use more of a
That's a good
committee
point.
style and don't really like to give one guy the ball. I think that Jonathan Taylor, we all agree that he's a really good player. I think the only thing that can hurt him is the Colts don't seem to want to commit to him as the guy. he's the
mean,
guy, but he's not going to get all the passing work, which
they're
you
not
really, really
gonna.
want.
They're not gonna
Well, I think
re-sign
that's
Marlon
fine
Mack.
though. I don't think that's a big deal.
No,
Marlon
I don't think
Mack-
it's a big deal. The one thing that I
Derrick
am a
Henry
little
doesn't
bit
get touches, and he's still, Derrick
right.
Henry.
The one thing I am a little bit worried about is them giving him the goal line work, because as a Jonathan Taylor owner, I was watching some of those Colts games and seeing running backs put up 2 touchdown games and a 3 touchdown game, and seeing that Jonathan Taylor is not getting those reps was a little bit frustrating. I think in the playoffs, we kind of saw that he took over completely. The only question I would have is, do they try to keep Marlon Mack? I'm not super worried about it because he did tear his Achilles. If you've dealt with a running back with a torn Achilles before, I mean, it's kind of sad to say it, but most of the time their career is kind of done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marlon
Unfortunate.
Mack was a good running back. I mean, I had him in our dynasty and just first game of the season. I mean, if you look at Taylor's snap percentages, just an interesting thing to point out is, so ever since he was out versus week 12 with COVID, right? He had to close contact or something. He goes 21, 29, 17, 19, 41 week 17. But he was only getting around 50% of the snaps. But that's definitely going to go up because, I mean, versus the Jags, he got 82%. But Naheem Hines is still going to get the receiving work there, I believe.
Naheem Hines will get he's a free agent in 2022, but for next year he's like a change of pace back. Like they'll use him for a
Mhm.
drive, and
Yes.
then which honestly could be better for Jonathan Taylor, keep his legs fresh so he's not in the game
That's
for
facts.
If
80%.
yeah, if he
'Cause, I
takes
mean,
away like
yeah,
some passing work, then it's like fine. But when the only concern I would have is like mid-season he was taking away like goal line carries,
yeah.
and Naheem Hines, I don't know if you've watched him play, doesn't look like a goal line back to me. So that was a bit concerning. But I think like after what they saw at the end of the season, they're going to be more inclined to give him those
I
carries.
think,
So if,
Hines is a good back, though.
yeah, but if Hines gets like 5-10 touches a game, it's not going to hurt him too
Yeah.
bad. Just like what's that word? Prolong his career. What's
Yeah.
that word?
That's a
I
good one.
think you use that the right way.
Prolong or extend, something like that.
Extend. That's the word.
It's actually, yeah,
Extend.
it could be better
It's
for
better
Taylor
for
in the
him.
long term. Yeah.
And honestly, if you look at true running back splits, 60-40 splits are honestly not that terrible.
No,
That's
that's fine. You just want him to be getting the goal line work, and then he'll be
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
true. Okay. On to
So-
number 4.
So so the 4 running backs that are most common in their tier 1 were McCaffrey, Saquon, Jonathan Taylor, and Dalvin Cook. Brian has Dalvin in a different tier, and Jack has Saquon in the next tier. So those is our tier 1 were McCaffrey and Jonathan Taylor were the consensus in our tier 1.
We can talk about Dalvin, who I've ranked 3. Jack has ranked 2. Brian, do you want to explain why you got him in a different tier?
It's nothing to do with the talent or the offense. I think for like the next 2 years, I think he's got 2 years,
Like elite level.
at least, but like maybe like a third, where he's going to be dominant, right? He's Dalvin Cook, but I think he's got so much like touches and so many rushing attempts on his body. That's like a theme of my list. Like running backs,
He doesn't though.
right?
It's
Does.
because he
He's
didn't
only
play that
got
much his first.
769.
What's up?
He's only got 700.
Only 700?
Well, Kamara
Yeah.
has like 900.
Yeah,
something.
Kamara's right below him.
Yeah, Kamara has a lot.
I'm just saying the top 3 guys have less touches on their body. That's just what I'm saying. Because like running backs, they come and go fast. Like they fly through it. Like Todd Gurley was #1 fantasy player, and now he's got arthritis. Like David Johnson was #1 fantasy player, and Jack will tell you how that turned out. Like it just happens. Like it's not fun, but it's just how the NFL
Yeah.
is. So it's nothing to do with his talent. It's just like concerns.
I would
I mean-
agree with that, Brian. That's a theme in my list too. Is I have a lot of my rankings due to the amount of touches people have. But I mean, if you're looking at Dalvin Cook, he's not that high up there for total touches.
I think it's weird because he doesn't have a lot of total touches, and then he was hurt a lot, like the torn ACL, and then do you guys remember what injury he was dealing with year 2?
No, I don't remember.
It was something. I feel like it was something with the leg, but it seemed like he was not on the field much in year 2, and then year 3 is when he really took that next step to be, you know, a top tier running back. I just traded for him. Super excited. But the way he runs, he does run really aggressive. So
No one
Yeah, that
cares.
too. But
yeah,
I mean, that's
he
just
runs
who
really
he
aggressive.
is.
Yeah. But I think we all know how talented Dalvin
See,
Cook.
Jack, Saquon only has 470.
Yeah, I know.
So that's just the tier, just the 200 touch. That's like a full season. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. No, yeah.
So just to go over the injuries Dalvin Cook has had in his rookie, not in his rookie year, in his first year in college, or his last year in college, he had a shoulder labrum tear. Then he went to the NFL, tore his ACL, tear 3, or basically a normal ACL tear. Then he had hamstring issues in 2018.
Hamstring, yeah.
Which was kind of like throughout that year, he kind of missed a couple of games, and then obviously the shoulder AC joint sprain that kind of screwed everybody over in the playoffs in 2019.
And then this year he missed a game because of a hamstring injury. So
hamstrings are scary, but I think Dalvin Cook's a really, really great dynasty option. It's just you want to have Alexander Madison.
Should we say what happened?
No.
No, we'll just keep it as if you're trading for Dalvin Cook, you want Alexander Madison. If you realize you don't have Alexander Madison,
or you can fleece your league mates out of a 3rd and a 4th round pick.
Yeah,
gotta do what you gotta do, man.
Jeez.
To keep it simple, he's missed games every year, but it doesn't matter. He's just that good of a player. I will take Dalvin Cook for 8 weeks over most running backs in the league.
Okay. Great. So
right,
now
moving on.
We're in the next tier. I got Kamara 5. I think
4 of us have Kamara 5.
And then Jack is Kamara 6. So should we talk about Kamara?
Let's talk about Kamara.
Well, we all have him in the same range. We should probably just say who Jack has 4.
Oh, who I have 4?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I got Nick Chubb at 4 because that man is a bad man.
Okay, I have a question for you,
He's
Jack.
a bad man.
Yeah.
So are you not worried about Kareem Hunt?
No, actually, I think that's a benefit to him.
I agree.
It's a benefit to him, but Kareem Hunt takes goal line carries a lot.
That's true. That's true. But Nick Chubb played 12 games. He got 12 touchdowns. Okay, here's the thing.
Should have been 13.
When you're looking at the Browns.
Thank you, bro. I lost the game because of that, bro. Oh my god. Just really pissed me off.
With Baker Mayfield at quarterback, Stefanski at head coach, they're not throwing the ball that much. That's all they're doing is running the ball. That's all they can do. They have the best O-line. Do it. Like, he's so good. And for longevity wise, having a committee, and not even full committee, just like, I think like you were talking about 60-40, I think is perfect for him.
Yeah, he doesn't catch much passes.
I would also like to say he played 12 games and he was 3rd in yards per game for over those 12 games. Only behind, I think it was just behind like Cook and Henry?
Probably.
Pretty good.
So, Jack, my only concern with Nick Chubb actually isn't Kareem Hunt, like everybody else is saying. I think that don't get me wrong, I do have him in the same tier as you. I think he's an absolute stud. But the reason why I think I have him the lowest out of everyone.
Yeah, you have him 8.
Yeah, I have him 8, which is the lowest out of everyone, is because there is a diva that is coming back to the Browns, and it's Odell Beckham Jr. And even if he's not great at football, he does demand the football.
That's true. When he was healthy, how many times did he catch the ball?
Well, so you're saying he's
Nick Chubb was hurt. Nick Chubb
they're
going
to trade him. The way the Browns' offense is run is they're not throwing the ball that much. Baker's
I don't know if they're going to trade
I love Baker, but he's a game manager. He's not throwing 30 times a game.
I don't know what team's going to trade for Odell.
I think if we're talking talent-wise, Nick Chubb could be like, you could argue Nick Chubb's tier 1 talent-wise. The thing that Shanik said that he doesn't catch passes is valid because pass catchers create a floor for your running backs. And especially if Nick Chubb is losing a couple of goal line carries, it's gonna hurt him a little bit.
So perfect example, and this was versus Baltimore, and they were down a lot. This is just week 1 too, but he only had 5 points in our league with 1 catch. Week 2, he only had 1 catch. Week 3, 1 catch. But
I don't think that's a big deal. I mean, you guys all have Derrick Henry ranked top,
I mean,
6-7. The guy doesn't catch the ball.
But Derrick Henry rushes for 2,000 yards.
That's very true. But if we're talking about a dynasty hold, like, I don't think it's that important. We're in half point PPR. I don't think it's
catch, pass.
It
Wow.
definitely helps.
English.
Wow.
It definitely helps.
And that's why I think I can put Kamara over Chubb pretty, like,
I agree. Pretty
solidly.
comfortably.
Yeah, comfortably.
The one thing, I mean,
I'm
we
the
can.
Kamara owner, and I don't agree. Nick Chubb is definitely more talented. You know, like
talented.
pass catch
I don't think he's more talented.
as a running back. Well,
As a running
Alvin
back, yeah. As
I
a
don't
running
know,
back,
man.
but Alvin Kamara plays two positions.
I'll get to the Alvin Kamara argument in a second.
Let's move on to Alvin Kamara. Actually, that's a good little
I
pivot
do
there.
actually think that he has definitely the talent and the skills to be a bell cow back, and I think he proved it in the game. He had 12 touchdowns.
12 touchdowns.
Six touchdowns. I'm sorry.
Yeah, a little bit of an exaggeration.
I was thinking 12 because I was thinking Chubb, but 6 touchdowns.
I mean, I think he's tier 1 talent.
He's definitely tier 1 talent. The only thing I'm worried about,
no
quarterback
Brees,
situation, how many catches he's going to get over time. And even that is like, he's more of a receiving back in a committee than he is the main rusher,
But that's the nice thing about Kamara is that, like, he might not get all this, like, he might get the 60-40 splits, but since he catches all those passes, it creates that type of floor.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, depending on who the quarterback is, depending on how the scheme changes.
I think we want them to have Jameis Winston, though.
Just a little, yeah. Well, yeah. But there's just a little bit of uncertainty in that.
And anyone but Taysom, you don't want a rushing quarterback with your receiving back because instead of dumping off to the running back, they'll just rush.
Like Alvin's 26, but I feel like he has the wear and tear of a 24, 25-year-old. Like, I think he's a lag in a year.
He's only had one injury-prone year, right? Or, like, injury-riddled year. And even then, he was an RB1.
Because they had Mark Ingram and then they went to Latavius Murray. That's what I was saying about like Chubb and it would be good for Jonte because look what it's done for like Alvin Kamara. Like he's still up here, even at 26 and played as many seasons as he has, and he stayed healthy through all of them, and he's still all the way up here. It's kind of crazy.
The thing with Alvin Kamara is that he banks on efficiency, but he's yet to show us that he can't be efficient. So there's no reason for us to rank him lower than guys that are getting more touches than him because he's so efficient.
Yep. When did Taysom Hill how many games did Taysom Hill? Like, when did Drew Brees come back?
Atlanta, week 11 Atlanta is when he started.
So Kamara had 1 catch.
10-5-16. 10-5-16.
He only caught like 5 balls.
Yeah, he did not have a lot of
Taysom Hill played from week 11 to week 14 versus the Eagles.
There's a 0% chance. I have
week 14. He did have 7 catches.
That Taysom Hill will not be he will not be the quarterback starting in 2021. There's no way.
It's just crazy that they played him over Jameis.
How about we do this hypothetical? If Taysom Hill were the starter for the Saints, how low are we putting Kamara?
Oh boy.
I might just.
Oh boy.
Let's start with Tyler. Yeah, Tyler.
I'd probably put him. I'd probably put him in. I don't know. I think I'd probably move him down a full tier. I'd probably put him.
I would agree.
It depends though on what they're doing with Lat Murray. If Latavius stays, if he goes,
he's like 31.
He doesn't. Yeah, right. If Alvin takes over as like the bell cow back, where he's getting 20 carries a game, which he could do. I think he has the capabilities to do that.
Right.
He did it in playoffs. He did it. Like he can do it. It's just if he's that kind of back, then I think he's still solid.
I mean, and when I say I'm putting him down a tier, he'd be the RB8 on my list, which isn't like saying he's awful. And that has nothing to do with me saying, oh, Kamara is going to be bad. It's just me saying, I think his consistency is going to go down. And I think these guys are going to stay consistent.
Yeah. I don't know what I would
proceed with caution.
I mean, yeah, we all love the talent. It's just the Taysom Hill is the only thing.
That's such a hard question. Yeah. I'd probably move him down to 9.
Yeah, I'd move him down a full tier probably.
Because that Taysom Hill just sucks.
You guys all have Chubb in your second tier too, but
we would all have Chubb above Kamara if Taysom Hill's our quarterback.
Yeah. Why would you say that Chubb's worse than Kamara?
Passing work, opportunity of snaps. I just think that Chubb has, even though Chubb's really, really good, he kind of has that limiter because of, and I think that even though Kamara has that, it's not to the same extent as what Chubb has at this point.
If I know this isn't gonna happen, but because Drew Brees hasn't officially retired yet, I mean he's gone. But like if Drew Brees was still there, I think I would have Kamara 4.
If Drew Brees stays, I'd have him in the same place.
Yeah, I don't think I'd move him. I think that
I might just put him in that 1 tier, but I don't know.
I don't think Jameis Winston hurts Kamara at all. I think
I think
keep him in the
because
same
James
spot.
is gonna yeah.
Jameis came in
we'll
for
see.
like a couple of snaps and he gave the ball to Kamara like every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any quarterback that's not a rushing quarterback, I'm still love Kamara.
Okay. 7's when we get a little interesting.
Well, have we done 6?
Well, we Kamara,
oh,
Chubb,
oh.
and then we can talk about.
We
all
should
have
talk.
all of our top 6 are all the same, correct?
No.
Now,
Let's
No?
talk about Derrick Henry. Let's talk about Derrick Henry.
yeah, I have Derrick Henry in my top 6. Derrick Henry is the definition of having wear and tear. Even though he didn't play those first couple of years, he does have a lot of wear and tear on his body. I don't care. He's really good at football. I think that the only thing that's a little bit scary is because you never know when that drop off might come. Because he
You're talking
runs
about
so.
Zeke right now?
No, I'm talking about Derrick Henry. It sounds like Zeke, I know, but
Top offs already come with Zeke.
Derrick Henry is a really physical runner. He's the one thing about Derrick Henry though, and the thing I think we saw a little bit more in the playoff game, and then again against the Packers, is he's really, really big play dependent. And it's Derrick Henry, so he normally gets 1 or 2 a game. But in those games that you don't get big play, sometimes you get a little bit disappointed, but that's not very often.
Yeah.
The thing I always hated about Derrick Henry, I had him this year. The thing I always hated was he didn't catch a single pass. Like he just couldn't do it, or like he could, but it had to be like a lob, like a perfect spiral lob, or else he'd drop it. And then the other thing is because he's such a good goal line, like back presence, that they would pass like
Yeah.
almost every time. Like you just see Jonnu Smith had like Jonnu Smith had top 10 red zone targets. Jonnu Smith, and they had Derrick Henry on the team. What does that tell
Johnny
you?
Smith was out for a while too. So
Exactly,
that's
and then he was
crazy.
top 10. So
You just
stupid.
play action and then
Johnny Smith also ran one in. Want to add that?
Bro, that day.
I think that Derrick Henry is just a beast, right? I'd already talked about it. Does anybody else have any wonderful thoughts on this man?
Just
is this my turn to come in?
You and Jack both have him. Oh, I guess Jack has him in the same tier, but you guys have him a little bit lower. So yeah.
So okay, here I'm not out here and gonna be like, in real life, is Derrick Henry a top 5 back? Because I think he is. It's just what Tyler said. You don't know when that drop off's gonna happen,
and it will happen. He's
And-
way too big.
It will happen. I agree.
it's
It
just
will definitely
it's just a
happen.
little scary because like he's never had a major, like I don't want him to, like that's awful, but he's never had like a major injury before, has he? And at least in the NFL. Anyone can fact check me or not.
I'll fact check you on that. But the one thing I would say is if you see Derrick Henry in your life, you're going to say he's the number 1 running back in the NFL. I don't want to hear anything else.
No,
Yeah,
but the only thing is that early in his career, he didn't get that many carries.
That's
so,
true.
Like the wear and tear, like I know he's got like a lot the past couple of years, which is like still wear and tear, but it's not as much as like getting that like over all those seasons. Because
I mean, honestly,
I would disagree with that, Brian, because you're talking shit about Dalvin Cook, who's got like 750, but Derrick Henry's over here with almost 1,200.
Yeah, but Brian has
1,200.
He has almost 1,200 carries.
Oh, I would argue Derrick
Oh, no.
Henry has 1 to 2 years left. 1 to 2 years.
Okay, I did not know it was that high. I would like to retract my previous statement.
Okay, so let's look at Derrick Henry's injury history for a
Okay.
quick second. So 2016, he had a calf strain in
Okay.
pregame warmups, so he sat out that game. This was
Okay.
back when he wasn't the starter.
DeMarco Murray, and I had him, and they played DeMarco. Okay, just keep going.
And then we have 2019. Only you would remember they played DeMarco Murray in that game, by the way.
No, it's because DeMarco Murray was the starter that year.
No, but I'm
Shout
saying,
out to
why do you?
Derrick Henry.
Okay, anyways, moving
Okay.
on. So the next injury, I want you guys to guess when the next injury would be.
Well, you said
Never.
2019, right?
Didn't
Never.
happen.
2019. Yep,
Oh,
December
dang it.
18th. And guess what?
Probably
He
like a
still
cramp.
played.
Oh,
He was.
I mean-
Oh, actually, no. He was inactive for one game. Take that back. One game.
what was the injury?
It was a hamstring grade,
Dude, he's
Okay.
missed
Two?
2 games his entire career.
and
It's-
that's scary. That somebody that
that's-
big doesn't
that's
get hurt.
terrifying.
If here, I'll go real quick before you bring up you know who. But Derrick Henry, like I think if you're a top end contender, you just ride the wave with Derrick Henry. You just ride that shit
Nah.
till it ends. But you could also potentially trade down out of him.
Yeah.
So that's what Brian did. Is he traded for Derrick Henry?
Yes, you can trade
Um,
down.
Hey. So if you want to trade Derrick Henry, you gotta play the star card, right? You say, look at his stats, at your league mates, and then they're gonna say, wow, stats. But then you get a guy like CeeDee Lamb and 2 firsts, and you're sitting there like, wow, I'm a genius.
Yeah, I mean, you want to trade Henry when his value is high, and I feel like his value can never be higher after rushing for
It won't
2,000
be.
yards.
It will never be this high.
I would say if you're gonna trade Henry, it's right now,
Mhm.
or else you ride the wave.
You
I'll
only
see you
trade
right.
if the only reason you shouldn't trade him is A, if people don't give you the value that you should get for him, or B, if you're like the top contender. Like if you're coming off a chip and you're just like, dude, I'm about to repeat this bitch. Don't trade
do-
him. Like
Do I need to go get Derrick Henry? Is that what you're saying?
I don't think Will's gonna give him up. Okay, well, I have Derrick Henry 8 because I have DeAndre Swift at 7.
And Shaunik has a tier break between Chubb and then
So
and Swift and
this
Henry.
was
thought-
hard.
bro, I
This was
thought I was the Swiss stan. What happened?
hard. Well, Brian was the Swift stan, and then I got him, and I became the Swift stan, and then
Let-
I gave him to Ryan, and now he's the Swift stan. So we're all
Let's
Swift
give
stans.
Shaunik the floor here, man.
Give
Let's
me the
him
floor. He is so talented. Like, I've watched his film. I watched like every Lions game because I just wanted to watch this man play. And I swear, like every time he got the ball, he was just electric. Like he got the ball and he was just making plays after plays after plays. And I mean, there's only been good things coming out of what Anthony Lynn said. He said that he thinks Swift can be a 3-down back. And I love their new coach, Dan Campbell, right? And they said, we're going to run until it, what did he say? He said something really funny. And then he was
until
like,
you bite their kneecaps.
yeah, he was like, if you knock us down, we'll come right back up and bite your kneecap off. And like, that's just run first mentality. You know what I mean? And Swift, he is a runner, but he's also a great pass catcher. Like he's someone that I think could catch the same amount of passes as an Alvin Kamara, as like Alvin Kamara, he could catch that many passes in a season.
For sure. My
that
favorite.
raises the floor.
I think my favorite catch he had was against the Bears really early on in his career.
It's his first
Um,
game. First game as a pro.
He's a really talented player. As the only, I don't know, Jack, how do you feel about Swift? Am I the only non-Swift stan here?
I'm not a believer. Not a
Okay.
believer. I don't even think he's a top 3 rookie running back.
Oh,
this
you
year.
have him lower than I do. Okay.
You ha-
So there's only a couple words I have to say about DeAndre Swift. I think he's a good running back. I think the Lions are going to be really, really bad. Like I'm saying like they're going to make the Jets and the Jaguars look like Super Bowl contenders. I think they're going to be that bad.
But we're looking at long-term value, not just.
I know it's
the next year.
long-term value, but I just don't see them being good. And as much as sometimes there's guys that thrive on awful teams, I just don't like that in a running back. I know he's a receiving back, so you can say, oh, it's a little bit better, but I just don't like that in a running back. I think he has the talent.
Well, just keep going.
But the thing that scares me is one, I think that team's going to be bad, and two, I don't see them giving up the complete committee. I think that he's going to be getting snaps. I think that they give carry on some snaps still. I know that he's a little bit washed, but I still think he gets usage. I mean, this is a guy that they spent a high pick on just a couple of years ago, and I don't know if they'll keep Adrian Peterson, but I think somebody's going to fill that AP role if they don't. I don't. Go
I'm
ahead,
with
Jack.
you with everything except for the committee thing. I think they'll probably just run him. But the problem is you're going to have a terrible team with a terrible quarterback. It's going to be a Joe Mixon type situation. It's going to be Joe Mixon. He's going to get 20 carries a game, and he's going to get 60 yards, and like terrible. He's going to be not good.
I feel like Joe Mixon is like what he like a bad like not a good.
Kenny Galladay's leaving. Okay, they have Jared Goff at quarterback. Like they're not going to have any kind of offense. So all they're going to do is stack the box, and this guy is not going to get anywhere.
Yeah, the
Go ahead, Brian.
box thing I don't really care about because that happens all the time. The only thing I would say is when you have an offense that, I mean, they just tried Stafford, who helps out a little bit for Goff, who, I mean, you can say what you want about him. He stinks, right? And then they have nobody else. Like, who do they have? Taylor Decker? I can't name another offensive lineman.
They have Hawkinson.
Who?
Offensive lineman.
Line.
I can't name another one, and I love offensive linemen. So
they have Ragnow.
I was about to say Ragnow.
But other like just looking at that offense, like his touchdown upside is capped. Like I know he scored 8 this year.
He scored 10.
8 rushing.
Oh, okay, my bad.
I know he scored 8 this year, but that's with like Matthew Stafford as his quarterback. When you have a different quarterback that also kind of stinks, then it's just the whole offense is gonna be terrible. The way the running backs score touchdowns is if when the offense is good and then they get down the red zone and then they give him the red zone carries, and I just don't feel like he's gonna get that.
If you're playing from behind the entire game, you can't run the ball.
I think there's too much risk in Swift to have him ahead of a guy like Derrick Henry.
Yeah,
way too much.
I'm banking it off upside.
Yeah. Oh no, his upside is.
His upside's insane.
His upside is insane, but the bad O-line, the bad offense is valid. And I just traded for Swift. I think he's going to be the second best rookie running back or 2020 running back at least. But there's definitely fears there with the Lions in general because they tend to ruin careers over there.
That is a good
point. They do.
But I will say AP, him training with AP, I think is an underrated aspect.
Yeah, Devin Singletary trained with Frank Gore.
I feel like
that work out.
I mean,
like, I love Frank Gore. I love Frank Gore, but Adrian Peterson.
It's the same thing. It's
also no, Brian, no.
There's an MVP season in there that Frank Gore does not have.
Okay, but it's still the same mentor bull crap. I've always hated it.
Away from being the all-time leading season rusher.
Frank Gore's third on the all-time rushing list.
He's played for. Like
he has more CT than you'll ever have in your entire life.
I'm just saying it's good mentorship.
Bro, come on.
I think, I mean, he might not be. I mean, I think he could be a low-end RB1 like in 2021. Yeah, 2021. But I think from 2022 onward, if the Lions aren't very good, but they got hella picks from the Rams. I think Jared Goff could actually be good for a running back just because he'll be hitting the checkdowns all day. And that's why I'm high on him.
I think if you're a rebuilder, targeting DeAndre Swift isn't a bad idea, especially because maybe you can get him at a lower end price. I mean, personally, I didn't, but I'm saying other people could get him at a lower end price. Because
here's the thing, also, Sean. Like, I would much rather have Akers and Dobbins.
Okay, why do you say that?
I'd rather have those.
Why do you say that? Why do you say that? Why do you say that?
Well, I mean, we can eventually get to them.
Let's transition to Cam Akers. I gotta go.
Yeah, let's go to Cam Akers.
I have Akers kind of low.
See, there you go.
I don't understand how you can talk about like offensive schemes where your running backs getting the ball. Like you talk about Swift, like he's gonna have such huge opportunities in Detroit, but Sean McVay's offense with his zone run is like that's all they do. That's all they do. Like Akers is gonna get way more opportunity, and even when he did get opportunity this year, he thrived. He was like the best rookie running back with the opportunity he was given.
Yeah, I will say
the last like 3-4 weeks, he was so good.
Yeah, well, okay, when Cam Akers had like an injury-riddled season, but you can say whatever you want about Darrell Henderson. Dude's trash. Dude's absolute a dumpster fire. All he has is speed. But when you look at Cam Akers, like any time, like whenever he was healthy, like towards the end of the season, like he was getting like 29 carries a game in the playoffs. Look at the playoff numbers. That's when you see like teams' actual like thoughts on a player. Like they're using their players not based on injuries or any of that. They're saying, I'm going to give you 32 carries because I think you're going to make me win. And when I see a team do that in a Sean McVay offense, there's no way. I love DeAndre Swift, but there's no way I'm taking a guy in the Lions with Jared Goff. I'm sorry, I'm just not.
I will say week 14 on with Cam Akers carries 21, 29, 15, 21. And then you move into the playoffs, 28 versus Seahawks, 18 versus the Packers. I mean, he took over the role. He took over Darrell Henderson. He took over Malcolm Brown.
Malcolm Brown's a free agent.
I'm saying
I know what you're saying though.
So I mean, the backfield is his. I absolutely love Cam Akers. I would buy high on him any day of the week. So, I mean, yeah, I got nothing else.
Okay, I got Akers at 11.
That's very low.
Yeah, that is a little low, but
you have Akers at 11.
I'll give you guys my reasoning.
Go ahead.
Well, number one, and I don't know if this is just me making a bullshit in my head. But I don't think McVay wants to have a workhorse back after what he did to Gurley.
I mean,
I think that also says who's there. He didn't want to have a workhorse back when the workhorse back would be Darrell Henderson or Malcolm Brown.
And then he showed you that he would feed a
He's definitely more talented than
workhorse role.
Darrell Henderson and Malcolm Brown. I just think, I don't know, he had 3 weeks this year where you would start him.
He's injured and he's a rookie.
Yeah, I mean, he's injured in a rookie, but I feel like Akers, you're chasing more upside than with Swift. I mean,
if we're talking trends here, man, I mean, it doesn't get much better.
No. What I'm saying,
it doesn't get much better.
Is with Akers is like, he had 3 good games.
Yeah, he had 5, and 2 of them were in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the playoffs, but we're looking.
The playoffs matter. I'm sorry, the Lions will never be there, but the playoffs matter a little bit more than the regular season.
If
you're watching you want your best players to perform in the fantasy playoffs, obviously, but for going into next season, you want to see your best players perform at the highest stage.
Players
don't care how they play in week 16. They care about how they're playing after.
No, I know. I just feel like, he's not going to catch I don't think he's going to catch a lot. He's not a pass catcher.
He's a 3-down back for sure.
I feel like they're going to want to use more than Akers. Like when they have to win, they're going to go to Akers because he's the best back there. But I feel like McVay is going to want to, he saw some Shanahan shenanigans. That's a tongue twister.
Why'd he draft him then?
Because he's a really good running back.
He didn't see shenanigans because he gave him 21, 29, 15, 21, 28, 18.
He wouldn't give him 29.
But then you also got, games with 10 carries and 5 carries.
That was before he broke out.
Look
at when he broke out.
Hold on.
When they gave him the role.
When Henderson was playing really well, and how many carries he got.
So he's riding the hot hand.
Well, what I'd say is I think we're arguing a lot over 2 guys that are, I think most of us have them in a similar or a kind of close tier. I think what it comes down to is whether or not you want to buy into the overall offense or the individual guy. As a Packers fan, I can tell you watching that playoff game, it seemed like he was averaging 7 yards per carry. It was a little bit scary at times, but I think they're pretty similar in rankings for me. I would say if you're a rebuilding team, you probably want to go Swift. I think Akers is the better buy now piece. But I think it's time to address the elephant at number 7 for me. I have Zeke.
No bias.
I do own Zeke in our Dynasty League, and there's a reason I own Zeke. And I'm not saying, hey, Zeke's going to be really good for the next 4 years. And I'll let you know, he is the same age as a guy like Nick Chubb. I know it doesn't feel like that, but
because it's not like that. Nick Chubb has 680 carries, and I wrote this down for you.
Yeah.
Zeke's got
ready for it.
1,400.
Jesus Christ.
Goodness.
So
his rookie year usage was crazy.
Is it crazy to
He had
say that?
322 carries.
Is it crazy to say that Zeke's going to have at least 2 more years where he's going to be a stud? I don't think it's that crazy. I think he's done a really good job of trying to reinvent his game and trying to evolve as a player. And I think what he has going for him is we're talking about Swift and this sorry offense. You know who Zeke's playing for? He's playing for the Cowboys. And do you know what they have at defense? Absolutely no. Like, they have nothing. You could put out like some paper plates on the floor, and they would perform better than the Cowboys.
This is the reason why I have him for me as in a tier of his own, because I feel like he's still a high tier running back. Just for Dynasty, you know, I don't want to count this year as like what the future is going to hold. You know, I think he's going to bounce back and be just like top running back, but he's not going to maintain that.
Sure, and I understand. And the thing that I'd like to point this out, and I understand that I'm really high on Zeke. This is a bad year that he needs to bounce back from.
Right, which he will.
How did he perform this year? Can anybody tell me? Like, was he like the RB?
He was the RB9.
15. He was the RB9.
What was his points per game?
His points per game. That's a good question. I'll pull that up really quick. And I think the thing we have to acknowledge is not only his points per game, but we have to look at his points per game with Dak Prescott and without Dak Prescott.
No, I get it. I'm not trying to say that he's not going to bounce back and be good for 1-2 years, right? He's just not going to, like, think about how old Derrick Henry is and how we like shit on him for being like, oh, he's going to get injured, he's going to fall off the cliff. Zeke's got a whole another year of carries ahead of him. He's at 1,400 and Derrick Henry's at 1,200. That's an entire like 12 games of carries.
Brian.
Sure.
Why is he not on your list?
So I have Ezekiel. We ranked top 12. I have him at a ranking of not ranked.
NR.
Bit surprising. DNR did not. Oh wait, shoot, did not finish. It's just, I know he's amazing. Like, I know I've crapped on him before, but it's just to argue. He's a great running back. It's just the running back position. I mean, you watched him play this year. He had a good year. It's just the offense I love the red rifle, but I mean, come on. But it's just, he didn't have like a bad year, but then again, all the other running backs you saw that just fell off a cliff, they didn't have a bad year before that. It just happened. So in my opinion, the amount of work, like, he has more carries than I think I saw like David Johnson and a bunch of Todd Gurley and a bunch of other guys. And, you know, you can say like what you saw last year was good, and you could be right. Like, he could have 2 more good years. But in my opinion, the running back position and how much wear and tear he has on his body, I think he's just going to fall off a cliff, and you're just going to be like, well, sucks.
The one thing I'd say is that if you look at Zeke's injury history, though, he has very little. And I know he had some hamstring issues towards the end of.
But it's more than just injury, though.
No, I know he just has a lot of wear and tear in general. But I'm saying this is a guy that hasn't had one major injury. He hasn't had that torn ACL. He hasn't had that big injury that you kind of see in most running backs at this point in their career.
Zeke is like, I describe him as a 25-year-old running back in a 28-year-old body. He's since he's a rookie, I mean, he's been 300 plus carries every season. His touchdown upside is what keeps him on the list for me. And because he does get fed the ball despite having CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper and a pass heavy offense, because they commit to giving him the ball at the goal line. They commit to giving him passes out of the backfield. So I would say he has like 1 to 2 good years left. I would say 2.
I would agree with that. And I don't want people to be not hearing what I'm not saying. I'm not saying Zeke's a good player. If you're not trying to win this year or next year, don't have Zeke on your team. Do not have him. If I would put him in a similar situation as Derrick Henry. If you are not keeping him on your team to win a championship, trade him. Wait for him to drop 30 points, 25 points, because Zeke's a guy that can do that. Trade him after that week, and then just move on with your I don't know if you can. I think you can get Cam Akers in some leagues, depending on the guy, or DeAndre Swift straight up for Zeke. I don't think that'd be too hard.
No.
Depends.
I think it depends on your league. I'd say those are some guys. If that's a guy that's on if you're on a championship team and you think you're going to win a chip, would you rather have Zeke or would you rather have Swift for next year?
Oh, Zeke.
Zeke. I'd rather have Zeke, but I'd rather have Cam Akers.
Than Zeke?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have him on your list. But Jack, what about you? Would you rather have of those three, you're trying to win a championship this year, who would you pick?
Like this coming year?
This coming year.
Probably Zeke. But I mean, it'd be Akers pretty close at second. It wouldn't.
Yeah,
be,
I'd
say it's close.
It
It's close with
it wouldn't be
Akers. I'd
far
say
and
it's
away.
close.
It'd be debatable.
Very close
I
second
think
with Akers.
But Swift is not a win now piece.
No,
Correct.
No.
Which is why he's on my team,
I want him
baby.
on my team. I'd rather have anybody on the list we talked about. Like, honestly,
Why is he
honorable
on your top
mentions, I might
12
rather
then?
have honorable mentions.
Bro,
than I have-
switch him with Clyde, Jack. Join the bandwagon.
I'll do Clyde. Well, I like Clyde before you, so let's.
Hey man.
Let's
You don't have him on your
me.
list though.
Hey,
Okay.
should I trade Swift back to Shaunick?
Speaking of Clyde, Clyde is on Brian's list.
Yeah.
Number 10 for
That's
Brian.
my guy. All right. So I
Wait,
watched.
shouldn't we talk about Dobbins or no?
No.
We'll talk about him after. We'll talk
Get
about
out of
him
here.
after.
All right. Let me talk about my boy, my baby. I took him over Jonathan Taylor.
Mistake.
Which wasn't a
Ow.
hot take at the time.
Dude, all right. Think about it, right? You got Mahomes.
You don't have to.
Oh.
Okay, just explain why Clyde is good.
You
Just
got
explain.
Mahomes. And then you got this fat ass dude on the sideline that's Albert Einstein, bro. Andy Reid, the best mind in football. Don't give me Bill Belichick or Sean McVay. It's Andy Reid. That's the first thing. He drafted another guy. He drafted this guy in the first round, right? The Chiefs won the Super Bowl. And after winning the Super Bowl, they said to themselves, hey, we need a running game. Let's see this guy. You see Joe Burrow? They got another guy next to him. It looks like Maurice Jones-Drew. And they said, hey, we want that guy on our team. And you know what Tyler was saying about Zeke, where people thought he had a bad year? You know how many yards Clyde Edwards-Helaire had this year? Take a guess. All-purpose
I
yards.
looked.
860.
All-purpose yards, he had 1,100. 1,100. And it's a bad year because he didn't score touchdowns. Well, guess what? He's on the Kansas City Chiefs. That's all I gotta say. I don't care.
I would say the only reason he is viewed like a down year is because his fantasy draft capital was so high. That's the only reason.
For sure.
Yeah,
There's
that's why-
people
that's
drafting
why.
him at 5 overall.
But
In my
I will say
opinion-
he did not have a disappointing rookie season at all.
In my opinion, he's a really good buy low because the
Very good.
Clyde owner,
Agreed.
if they're not smart like I am and not a genius, they'd be down on him. And you're like, hey, I'll give you Hollywood Brown in the first, and you're like, smash accept. Exactly. You have Clyde. You're welcome.
I think Clyde's another example of a guy that I would trade if I'm trying to lose now, win later. I would trade my Derrick Henry for Clyde with something else, and then or my Zeke. That's another guy that I would try to aim for.
I think here's the thing with Clyde for me. The first game of the season, he looked amazing, right? I remember watching that on Thursday night. Like, we really gave the league winner this guy, right? Like,
So good.
this dude looked amazing. And he had an amazing game versus Buffalo stats wise, but other than that, nothing that really jumps off the page. The thing about Clyde was that he wasn't winning you weeks. He had a really good overall rookie year, but I don't think he had he had one game above 20 points. And, when you draft him first round, second round, you want a player that can be able to do that. And I think eventually he will be able to do that. It's just, we don't know the Chiefs' full confidence in him bringing in Le'Veon Bell and using Darrell Williams, and Damian Williams isn't a threat, but he wasn't winning you weeks.
Yeah. Before Le'Veon Bell got there, it looked like I made a good decision. I'll just leave it that way.
When did Le'Veon sign? Week 4?
No, like week
It's
6 or
week 8.
something. But
Week
as
I mean, versus
Le'Veon doesn't even
Buffalo,
play
he had
snap.
26 carries.
The
He
one
didn't-
thing I will say though is like playoff games. I just said about Akers in the playoffs, like they didn't run the ball that much because they were like down by a bunch. But look at the carries for the players: 0 for Le'Veon Bell, 2 for Darrell Williams, 9 for Clyde. That's all I gotta say.
Single
I'll take
digit.
that split any day,
So
Man's flexing single digit carries.
bro. They were down.
yeah, it's I don't know.
I have Dobbins at 9.
I have Dobbins 10. Jack has Dobbins 8 and Dobbins 11 for Brian. Dobbins not on the list for Tyler. So
Wait,
Whoa.
I think I had him at 12 at one point. Did I take him off? Yeah, I
Yeah,
took
you
him
took
off.
him
for
I'm
someone
fine with him
else.
off.
let's
like
talk
the guy out
about
there anyway.
let's talk about JK. Here.
I've been with Tyler for a lot of the little decisions we've made, but this one's a bad decision, Tyler. Dobbins is the best.
But he's only the
most
second best
efficient
running back on his
in
team.
the NFL. Guess who that was?
Bus. Wait, what did you
Gus
say?
Bus.
What did you say, Jack?
Best yards
Guess
per
who the most
carry.
efficient player, the most efficient running back in the NFL was
J.K. Dobbins.
J.K. Dobbins. Guess what? He's on the premier rushing team in the entire league, and I don't even care if he's splitting carries with Lamar, because the guy gets so many yards per carry. Because everyone's like, gotta go get Lamar, and then here comes J.K. Dobbins off the option, and boom, 30 yards.
So one thing I will say, I really like Dobbins. I have him in another dynasty. But I think he's touchdown dependent. I think we can.
No, what? He's the opposite
No?
of touchdown dependent.
Wait, he just
What are
doesn't
you
catch
talking
passes.
about?
He doesn't
He just
catch
doesn't
passes.
catch passes.
So
Yeah,
we
that's the
would
only
say from weeks 11 onward, excluding the Pittsburgh game where he doesn't play, he scored a touchdown in every one of those games, and he scored 2 in week 17, which is insane. But throughout that entire stretch, he caught a total of 3 passes. So they're going to run a lot, and the Ravens offense is going to be good. So he's going to have that high touchdown upside, but he's not going to be a back that gets you 20 carries a game. At most, he's going to get you 15, and 15
The things
carries.
he does with the 15 is worth it, right?
Efficiency backs are scary because
Like we
it's
talk
not
about Alvin
guaranteed
Kamara
touches.
and why he's so dangerous.
but he's
The
done
guy
it
doesn't
for
get more
4
than 15
years.
carries a
But
game.
Kamara also
But you
gets
have-
15 targets per game per week.
Well, I get
10
that,
to 15.
but I'm saying he's efficient with the things he does.
So
He's
but
had
like
games where he gets 10 carries and 80 yards on those 10 carries.
Yeah, I would say J.K. Dobbins is in the perfect situation for the type of like runner he is.
He's the perfect situation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
perfect
Type of runner, he's
situation.
like the small, speedy.
I don't like running backs that don't catch passes because
But here's the thing though: when he was at Ohio State, he was still getting the ball. He was getting a ton of passes at Ohio State.
okay,
Right.
but
He
in the
can
Ravens
catch
offense,
passes. That's never been the
understand.
problem.
yeah. I'm just saying
He
like
can be a pass catcher. He's
Lamar's
just-
But
not throwing
Lamar
his running
doesn't throw to the
Yeah.
pass. He doesn't throw to them.
yeah, he's a rushing quarterback. Rushing quarterbacks would rather run than check
Yeah.
down.
Yeah, and then another thing about Dobbins. Oh, I had something so good in my head, and it just went away. No.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
but-
tough.
He's like the perfect runner for that. I think you already said that, but when they drafted him, it's like this is the perfect spot for him because, Lamar, like Dobbins, like he's really good, but he just goes straight to the hole. Like he doesn't think about it, and that's perfect for what the Ravens need because Lamar freezes the defenders, so they have to like respect Lamar because Lamar's going to score a touchdown if they don't. So if you just run straight, you're going to score you're going to have, like Jack said, highest yards per carry in the league. J.K. Dobbins.
Oh, I remember what I was gonna
Oh,
say.
and John Harbaugh loves this kid.
He
John
does.
Harbaugh
He
is in
does.
love with
Hey,
this
you know
does.
who else he loves? Devin Duvernay, bro.
No, he doesn't.
Yes, he bro. I'll show you a
boy.
video.
I saw the video, but they're
Bro.
also gonna get a receiver in the free.
Nah.
Okay,
You know what they're gonna do? They're
wait,
gonna
I'll
cut
tell you.
Hollywood.
Wait, can I? I know he doesn't have the.
They're cutting their first round pick.
Yeah.
I know I feel like he's a different guy, but Philip Lindsay was insanely efficient his rookie year.
Who?
Philip
Lindsay.
Lindsay.
He doesn't play. He doesn't play alongside Lamar Jackson though.
That's true. I'm just saying, like,
Come
you
on.
can't just use efficiency as the only reason of why you have him so high because it doesn't guarantee you touches. And the reason why we can put Kamara that high is because he's done it for 4 years.
And the thing I'd say is we're not saying he's not talented. It's just if we're talking about all of these running backs on this list that we've talked about so far for next year, I think he's gonna have a lot like his range of outcomes is a little bit more scary than a lot of, especially when I compare to
to point out that he, for like the first half of the season, they were still giving Mark Ingram the bulk of the carries, right?
Right.
Mark Ingram's gone. Gus is a free agent. He's probably gonna resign, which is fine.
Well, Gus is good for Dobbins.
All I'm gonna say is I think
after Mark
compared.
Ingram phased out, the guy was like. I think efficiency is the perfect way to.
But Jack,
don't think that's a
I
knock on
have a
I
question
don't
for
think
you.
him getting the ball less, but using you being more efficient is a knock. I think that's a positive for him.
I don't think anybody is. I think what we're saying is because of the team that he's on, we can't really see him getting many more touches.
Yeah, that's fair.
Right,
and because of that,
but Jack, listen to me here. So versus the Giants, he goes 11 for 77 and a touchdown. So he gets 13, 14 points. But if you get 11 for 77, that's still 7 yards per carry. That's crazy efficient, but no touchdown. You're not happy with that fantasy day.
Yeah, so
that's okay.
I think the thing is with
getting those touchdowns, right?
The
All
not
they do is run the ball.
The not catch passing is what gets me with Dobbins. Because if he was 11 for 77, but he had like 3 catches for 30 yards, like I'm happy with that. No touchdown. That's a good day. But the fact that he's 11 for 77, but no catches, no 1 target, that's what scares me. And it's kind of like the Josh Jacobs. Like Josh Jacobs is a very good runner. He's a very good.
Tyler doesn't agree, but
okay, but he's a very good runner, vision wise. Like he makes good cuts, but he doesn't catch passes. So his bad days are J.K. Dobbins' bad days, which are 77 rushing yards, no catches. Which is what would scare me about J.K. Dobbins. That's the only thing.
But I think the difference between them is the offense. That's the upside you're thinking about.
Yeah.
Because of how
and that's why you have Dobbins over Jacobs.
How good of a running offense they have.
The touchdown upside is a lot better for J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, so that's why you have him higher than.
Yeah, it would make him less touchdown dependent than other running backs.
I want to move on to a guy that I have at 12, even though we haven't talked about my guy at 11. But just to keep it on the rookie train, this is a guy that I think is going to get a lot of work in the pass catching game, and it's Antonio Gibson.
I like Gibson a lot.
He is so good. I think the one thing that is scary about it, there's a couple of things that are scary about Antonio Gibson. One, he plays for the football team. It's not a great start.
Oh, you don't like Alex Smith?
Taylor Heineke, bro.
Alex Smith.
I forgot about Heineke, bro.
Alex Smith for Gibson is good, like dumping pass.
Yeah, Alex Smith would be good. And I think that the good thing is for him is they seem to like these little check down passes. And I mean, keep in mind who's the head coach there. We got Riverboat Ron. If we think about Riverboat Ron,
I like where this is going.
What other team had that guy coaching? I think it's Christian McCaffrey's pass usage. Now, I'm not saying that Antonio Gibson's going to get anywhere close to that amount of work, but I'm just saying Christian McCaffrey's system was made by Ron Rivera. And I think that even if Antonio Gibson gets a quarter of that usage, he's going to be really, really good. And he's been really efficient.
Is JD McKissic still under contract? Do you guys know?
Yeah. But here's the thing with Gibson. So his career is crazy because in college, he had in college, his rushes were like, what is it, 13 total or something?
Yeah, because
36 total. I don't know. He had like 36 total rushes in college.
He had like none.
But then he goes to the NFL and he's proven that he's a runner. But in college, he proved that he can catch passes. So the upside there is crazy. And then you saw how efficient he was with his rushes this year as a runner. And then this year they decided to use JD McKissic as the pass catcher. So
yeah, I'm not worried about JD McKissic for a dynasty like long term.
I'm not either.
But the thing that like excites an Antonio Gibson owner is like when you watch him play, like normal running backs, they have like good footwork and they like know what they're doing. He has like no footwork because he's a slot receiver. He's not a running back. He's like Ty Montgomery, but he's so efficient because he just finds the creases. He's just a football player. He's just an athlete. So once he like figures it out and has like good footwork, dude, you could be talking about him as like a Saquon level. Like it's crazy to me.
In college, he proved he was a pass catcher. In NFL, he's proved he's a runner so far.
I remember when the footballs released Adrian Peterson. Well, Adrian Peterson's been a hot topic for us. But they said, he said when he got cut, he said they have a guy in Antonio Gibson that they're very confident in, and I think will be an amazing running back in the NFL. And, strong words coming from Adrian Peterson. And this is a guy who, he said this, and this was the beginning of the season. This was before Gibson had done all his stuff in the NFL and was just a college receiver. He was already getting that type of praise from AP. I don't know why. I feel like I should have him. I mean, he's an honorable mention for me, but I do really like him.
And then I think the bottom of the list is where we have some differences. Even though, so who else has Gibson? I know somebody else did. Was it Ryan?
I had Gibson, but Brian, Shaunik, and Jack have Miles Sanders at 12, and I would love to hear why. I would love to.
Am I a prisoner of the moment?
I would love to hear why.
Do you want to hear why, Ryan? You'd love to hear why.
I want to hear why.
Here's why.
I will say Jalen Hurts helps him.
It helps him a ton, right? As long as they don't draft a quarterback and screw him over. The games where he had Jalen Hurts, I don't remember how he played.
The Saints game he went off.
I'm gonna check.
He played pretty good, right?
I would like to mention.
When did Hurts become the starter?
Have all been
the Packers game. But it was in the beginning of the pack. Okay.
Okay. Go ahead. Make your points.
Okay, all my running backs have been based off of efficiency, right? I've had Nick Chubb super high up. He's number 3 in true yards per carry, which, is I think the best measure of how efficient you are, right? I got J.K. Dobbins, who's number 1. Who do you think's number 4? My guy Miles Sanders.
Who's number 2?
The guy is efficient. I don't care if he doesn't get the ball as much. He's got a new offense. He's got a new coach. He's got a new quarterback. The guy's gonna stay efficient.
Wait, who's number 2, Jack?
I don't want to say.
Just say it.
Aaron Jones.
Oh, okay.
Hey, there's my guy at number 11.
Oh, I want to talk about Sanders. Can I just say
That's
one thing
great segue, though.
Oh.
Just go ahead, Shaunik. Go.
Okay.
Go ahead, Shaunik.
I feel like they might do something like the Ravens, honestly, where they're gonna use Hurts as a runner a lot more. I don't know if this is just me thinking of things, but there's no other running back in that offense, right? Boston Scott, you're not worried about. Corey Clement, you're not worried about. And Doug Peterson, is putting in these guys because the Eagles have, they had a long history of using a committee. I think who's their new head coach? I don't remember the name.
I don't know his name. Can't be asked.
But I feel like he has to realize the talent of Miles Sanders because I think he's very talented.
Yeah, he is.
And Jalen Hurts, I feel like they might do something like the Ravens offense where it's just run and more run. Yep. And Miles Sanders is going to be a perfect piece for that offense.
The difference I would say why I have them in the same tier because I agree they're kind of similar in that way because they're going to run the ball a lot. But the difference, I have J.K. Dobbins one spot higher because of the offense, but Miles Sanders still catches passes with Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
Like week 14, 5 targets, 4 catches. Week 16, 6 targets, 4 catches. We're not going to talk about week 15.
I would like to talk. J.K. Dobbins does get a lot of targets, but pretty good targets. He could get 30 yards off those. But
J.K. Dobbins doesn't get targets.
He's dropped a lot of.
I think
J.K. Dobbins had 24 targets.
But how many drops did he have?
He had 18 catches, so it's only 6.
Oh,
he had that big drop in the playoffs, remember?
Also, to answer your question about the coach for the Eagles, it's Nick Sirianni or something like that. He was the OC on the Colts, so he's coming from Frank Wright's system, which is a good system to come from.
Go ahead, Tyler.
But the one thing I'd say is when you get a new coach, unless they say that they want to take out the other team's kneecaps, you don't really know what they're going to do right away. So I think Miles Sanders is one of those guys that he's not on my list because I want to wait and see what that offense does.
That's fair.
Because there's a lot of questions there.
The Colts OC is very promising.
Miles Sanders is he's a big play running back. He's a big play running back.
A boy. Penn State, we breed him different.
Yeah.
We'll call him a bootleg Saquon.
He banks off those.
Hey, I'll take it, bro. I'll take it, Saquon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we had the perfect segue to Aaron Jones, but we can talk about him now.
Aaron Jones. Is he going to be on the Packers? No, we have no cap space. 0. Negative, actually. I think that he's going to end up. This is once again, he's on my list, even though I don't know what team he's on. I could care less. I'm gonna be honest. he kind of reminds me of, I don't know. He's super efficient in the running game. He makes a bunch of big plays. If you watched him this year, I think a lot of his fantasy weeks were kind of dependent on some of those big plays, but he does have a floor in the passing game. The only thing that hurt him as a player was he was on the I mean, and Hurts relative. He's on the team with Devontae Adams, who got the most red zone targets in the NFL in the red zone, which you'd want those to be handoffs to your running back. But when Aaron Rodgers is going for records, Screw you, Aaron Jones. He does not give a single shit. He's a really good running back. Doesn't matter where he goes. I think the thing for him is he's going to get more touches and he's going to get paid a lot of money, which kind of is going to demand him to get those touches. I don't think there's a perfect landing spot. I could see him easily going to a lot of places, but I think wherever he's going, he's getting a lot of money and a lot of touches.
Where do you think those places would be?
Where do I think he can go?
Yeah.
I think the first most likely place is he was recently spotted in Miami. I don't know if that's a sign of things to come, but I think he could be on the Dolphins. As much as I love Myles Gaskin, it's Myles Gaskin. They really didn't commit to him in a level that they would have to with a contract with Aaron Jones, and money talks in the NFL. If you pay a guy that much money like they would Aaron Jones, I think that he's going to get good usage. I could also easily see him going to the Steelers. James Conner is a free agent. I think I would like that. There's a couple of places, but I think the Dolphins is where he's going to end up, and that'd be where I'm the most happy.
Oh, go Ryan.
I think Aaron Jones is probably the most undervalued, underrated dynasty running back. Simply because I think he's landing spot independent, because I think whatever team he goes to, he's going to be the starting running back, like minimum the starting running back. I don't know about like maybe the two for first and second down back, but I just think he's so talented that anywhere he goes, he'll be the starter. And I mean, 2019 he had 19 touchdowns, and then 2020 he had 11, even with Devontae Adams having 18. So
they were an historic offense,
right? But go ahead. Sorry,
I mean that's a product of the Packers.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, that's a product of the
It's
Packers.
because of the Packers offense. Like if he goes to the,
but he still had 1,100
Bears.
rushing yards.
Like if he pulls up in a Chicago uniform to spite the Packers, he's gonna be terrible. I'm sorry, the offensive line is doo doo.
I think that he could still be productive.
I don't think Aaron Jones is a product of. I mean, he definitely I don't know. He's a very good running back. I feel like he can do everything. He can catch passes. Like he literally is what you ask for in like a fantasy running back. And I still think Green Bay is the best fit for him, like fantasy wise. But you don't take AJ Dillon in the second round if you don't think you're gonna, if you think you're gonna keep Aaron Jones. I think Miami's a good spot for him. And I think Green Bay is a good spot for him, but I mean, he's a good running back. He's definitely win now piece though.
I guess you could say that, but I think, like I said before, is I think the thing that he has going for him is he's super versatile in his playing style. I think he can catch a lot of passes. He's proven that he's a weapon in the passing game. Is that because he has one of the best quarterbacks of all time throwing to him? Yes, probably partially, but he can catch the ball and he is very good after the catch, which I think is a huge part of his value as a fantasy piece.
Okay. So I think we've gone through every top 12 running back on our list, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. We can name some players worth to mention.
Can talk about Joe Mixon.
Okay.
I know nobody else likes him. I like him.
Jack likes him.
I like
Jack has him.
I think the problem is he tries to run like a knockoff Le'Veon Bell, and he doesn't have the offensive line to pull it off.
That's a great comparison. I've never heard that.
I remember I had Joe Mixon his rookie year before I traded him for Michael Thomas, I think. But okay, I was watching the Bengals. Okay, I'm sorry, but I remember I was watching the Bengals and I saw him do like a move, and I was like, "Whoa, that's Le'Veon! Like this dude is Le'Veon." Um, but yeah, he doesn't have the offensive line. He's been pretty injury prone throughout his career. Um, but maybe things change with the Bengals.
I think the Bengals are going to get a better offensive line because I think if there's if there's anything that they spent their pick on their guy, and they don't want to have their franchise quarterback spending his career in rehab. See what that did to Andrew Luck. They finally got that offensive line together when he left. Rest in peace to that guy.
Such a sad story.
I was hoping he'd come back. Honestly, I didn't think it would happen,
Not
but I was
anymore.
hoping.
Now he can't because Carson.
Yeah.
Carson's isn't.
Okay.
But going on, I think that he's got a chance to be. I think the thing about Mixon is he's always shown flashes, and he got paid.
Really good. He's really good.
And he got
Got
paid.
paid?
Yeah, Mixon got paid. He's there for a little bit. And
4 years.
And I think they're going to build up that offensive line, and I believe in the Bengals to become better than they are right now, which isn't saying much, but like I think that Mixon isn't a guy that we've been talking about guys like having great offenses like Zeke. Mixon's in the exact opposite. I think he's been in one of the slower offenses in the NFL, and I think that we're seeing that shift with kind of the new change in personnel that they have going on there.
Zachary.
Okay.
Personally with Mixon, I'm looking to sell once he has a good game. Like last year when he had that breakout game versus the Jags, I would have sold his ass right away, but I didn't have him. But that's just me. I think he's good, but I don't think he's fantasy good.
I'm not saying he's sorry for interrupting. I'm not saying he's great, but I'm just saying I think that most people, if you don't own Mixon and you're not a Bengals fan, you don't think he's very good. And I think he's undervalued for what he is going to be.
Yeah, he's underrated. The one thing I would say is like his value is like weird because if you're a win now like team, you want to like win next season, right? And their quarterback is currently one-legged. He's Alex Smith like 15 months ago. So I mean, he might come back at the end of the season, he might not, but like his timeline wise, he just doesn't fit with any teams. I don't know like what type of team you would buy with him.
Hold him and sell him, bro. Hold him and sell him.
Yeah, I don't know.
Another running back. Well, I mean, I have both these running backs in our league. But let's talk about James Robinson a little bit.
Terrible. But
Terrible?
No, I wouldn't even give a 3rd round pick for him. Don't want him.
I think James Robinson is getting a lot more respect than my favorite running back, Myles Gaskin. And I think they're in pretty similar situations. I think there's a decent chance that they sign another guy or draft another guy because the contract and the money is not behind him.
Yeah, they don't owe Robinson necessarily anything. The thing I will say, the difference between Myles Gaskin and Robinson is Robinson was better than Gaskin. I think we can agree. Can we agree on that?
Mm-hmm.
Like he was better for fantasy. And he looked really good. It's just he's an unrestricted, undrafted free agent. And they could draft someone, and that was all under Doug Marrone, and now they're bringing in Urban Meyer. We don't know what Urban Meyer wants to do with that offense. I think if you can get him low, then go for it. But right now, I feel like his value is probably very high, just because of the season he had.
I would say if you're a contender, you could try to buy him for the low because your draft picks don't really matter if you're a contender. Don't have as much value if you're a contender. So let's say you give up your late first or like a late second for James Robinson, and then James Robinson becomes the starter next year, then that's a steal.
I think late second for James Robinson, regardless, is a steal.
I
think he's worth like an early second, late first.
If James Robinson is out of the league this year, then a late second is not worth it. But
yeah, I guess.
If they,
another guy,
I think he proved that he belongs in the league. It's just like Lindsey proved that too, and then they signed Melvin Gordon.
But the difference between Lindsey is that Robinson's a more complete runner than Lindsey was.
Lindsey was very good his rookie year.
He's like a 5'7", 180
way
dude.
Too high on James Robinson.
He looked amazing his rookie year. I don't know if you remember.
He was a Pro Bowler, I remember.
Philip Lindsay was amazing. So it's just like if honestly, if you took away the names and just put second round next to his name, I'd be all in. But just because he's undrafted, like if you told me that like they wouldn't sign or draft another running back, I'd be right there with you. But it's just that scare of like they could just sign someone because Urban Meyer likes him.
Mm-hmm. Another guy I want to talk about is Josh Jacobs. I know Tyler hates him.
Why?
What? No, just honorable mention, guys. I'm just talking about.
He's not even close to an honorable mention.
Josh Jacobs?
Yeah, he's just an unattractive.
You don't think he's
player.
like a top 16 running back?
Top half of the league? Wait, what kind of accomplishment?
What?
Top 16 like dynasty running back?
Yeah.
I mean.
Okay, I think that
it's arguable.
I think if you have to say a guy, he's top 16, you're not saying much for him when he's
no. I'm just saying like
guy in the
we're
offense.
just naming dudes, right?
Yeah, but guys,
I think
another guy we could talk about is David Montgomery.
Jesus.
Okay, David Montgomery.
No,
fun topic to bring. Okay, what I would say, if you have David Montgomery right now, and somebody believes in David Montgomery, trade David Montgomery. As the David Montgomery owner, I love this man. He won me a chip.
He did win you a chip.
But there's no loyalty to David Montgomery. He had a really good stretch of games, which, I mean, smart people are arguing that it has a lot to do with who he played, which they might be right. He did look a lot better, though. And the one thing I would have to say is when you look at him as a player, and you look at the Bears as an offense, they just paid Tariq Cohen a lot of money. I mean, unless
Bears are so dumb.
They are really dumb. I love being in the division. But they just paid Tariq Cohen, and even though he's a gadget player, he does take away those pass yard snaps that we've been talking about that are so valuable to the running back. But the one thing I'd say is David Montgomery is one of those guys, if he has a bad week one, and I'm saying like a bad week one, like a 5-point week or a 6-point week, that guy that was loving him probably hates him pretty quickly. He's one of those guys that I feel like if you see somebody's going to bail out of him really quickly as soon as he does poorly. So that's when I would buy low. But other than that, I'm trying to sell high all off season. He was like I don't remember exactly what he was. I want to say the RB6, something stupid. Maybe the RB9.
RB6.
Yeah, okay, RB6. And if you can just keep on mentioning that stat for like sometimes there's those guys that just like love their statistics. Just keep on sliding that in there. RB6. He did better than so many. I mean, he scored more points than Christian McCaffrey and Saquon combined. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing. He's not going to be on my team next season. I'll tell you that.
I mean, we can't talk about Josh Jacobs a lot. I just think he's a worse version of running backs that don't catch passes, like a way worse version.
He's a poor man's Derrick Henry's, like before.
He's a poor man's Derrick Henry's, poor man's J.K. Dobbins type thing.
Yep. I would take Derrick Henry in college over Josh Jacobs.
He's like
now.
a double poor man's.
Bro, of course, bro. He's a Heisman Trophy winner. What? That's not even like a hot take.
I think Josh Jacobs is like an RB1 in a redraft, but in a dynasty, I don't really want to touch him.
It's the way he's not very fast. And
he's very touchdown dependent. If you're saying J.K. Dobbins is touchdown dependent, Josh Jacobs is very touchdown dependent.
And the offense they're in is not the best. But there's really no one else in that backfield. So, and he was a first round pick, so he has the draft capital under his name.
He the one thing he has is job security.
100% for sure.
Job security.
He gets a ton of carries too. That's another thing.
I feel like just because we're talking about how secure his job is, they're definitely going to sign Aaron Jones now.
That'd be terrible for both of them.
Yeah, it would be awful. I've seen teams make worse decisions.
Like the trade into DeForest Buckner.
Okay. I would say we could go over everyone's list, but I feel like that'll take quite a while.
Okay.
One more guy that I'd like to mention that I saw in Jack's list that I really like. If the Patriots do not draft anybody, and they do not sign anybody that's a big name like an Aaron Jones, or I would keep an eye on Damian Harris. He is one of those guys that he's like a lot of people had Rojo as that guy. Like, I don't know, I think it was 2 years ago. Like, the Bucks just didn't have anybody else there, right? Like, it's not like Rojo was great, but he had potential, and he showed some flashes, and he was the only guy there. And what happened? He kind of proved himself. I think that's the chance that Damian Harris has that chance to do that.
Yeah.
Well said.
Okay.
We can wrap it up, like briefly going over each list. So, I mean, we can start with Tyler.
Sure. Yeah, I'll pull it up real quick. I had CMC, the quad man himself, Jonathan Taylor, Cook, and then that's my first tier. And then my second tier is Kamara, Henry, Zeke, and then Nick Chubb. And then my that's the end of it, the next tier. And then I have DeAndre Swift and Cam Akers. Those guys are basically 9A, 9B. I'm really close. It depends on your team situation. And then last tier is just Aaron Jones and Antonio Gibson.
Okay, Brian?
Cool. So you got to follow the nicknames with me. We got Daddy at number 1. You know who it is. Number 2, we got Tree Trunks.
I don't think they know who that is.
Bro, you don't know who Daddy is? Come on, they know who Daddy is. Tree Trunks at number 2. You got to know that one. That one's easy. Jonte, that's my first tier. Second tier, we got Dalvin, Kamara, Chubb, Henry. That's tier 2. Tier 3, we got some rookie running backs, Akers, Swift, Clyde. And Dobbins is almost in that tier, but I moved him down like last minute. And my 4th tier is Dobbins Sanders. And then at 26th, I have Zeke. And at 80th, I have David Montgomery.
Where do you have James Conner by interest?
25th.
All right. My first tier, I got C-Mac at 1, then Saquon, Jonte, Dalvin. Then tier 2, I got Kamara, Henry, Chubb. Tier 3, I have Swift and Cam Akers. Once again, interchangeable. And then my tier 4, J.K. Dobbins, Zeke, and Gibson.
Okay. For me, we got McCaffrey 1, Saquon Barkley 2. We got my man Dalvin, who's about to hopefully go off for me. Number 3, Jonathan Taylor 4, and that's my first tier. And then we got Kamara and Chubb in the next tier. Then I got Swift, Derrick Henry, Dobbins, and Zeke, and then to round it off, Akers and Miles Sanders.
All right. My first tier, McCaffrey, Cook, Taylor. Second tier, Chubb. Saquon, Kamara, Henry. Third tier, Dobbins, Akers. That got Zeke kind of floating in between. And then Swift and Sanders, my final tier.
Okay.
Look for our next episode is going to be the top 12 wide receivers. This is going to be that's the episode I've been looking forward to the most.
One.
Yeah, that's the
I'm
good one.
still.
That's the juicy one.
Yeah, it's going to be.
We
juicy.
will be hopefully making a TikTok, posting some clips, funny clips on there. So.
Oh, we should plug the name. What's the name?
We don't have one, so we can't.
Yeah, but we gotta plug the name.
It'll probably be something like simping for Sunday.
What if someone like already has that name?
Okay, wait. I figured out an idea. All right, let's just end this video later.